Hello, welcome to the Irish Independence preview of the weekend League of Ireland action. I'm here today with Seán O'Connor. It's a pivotal weekend in a couple of respects, Seán. There's more than a month to go in the season, but the title could be won on Friday night. Ideal for Shamrock Rovers, not just to win back the title. They feel they lost to Shelbourne last year, but to win it against Bohemians. If they obviously they need the Derry City Drogheda match to go their way, but Shamrock Rovers could be champions on Friday night with a month to spare.
They could be champions with a month to spare, as you said, 5th title in 6 seasons. They're now on the cusp of, I suppose it's so different to this time last year where it really went to the final day, didn't it, between Shamrock Rovers and Shelbourne. We all know by now Shamrock Rovers were 5 minutes from the title, but Harry Wood had other ideas up in Derry, so I think that really hurt Shamrock Rovers being so close, cutting that gap back, chasing Shelbourne, only for Shelbourne to get over the line at the very end. So I think that really hurt Shamrock Rovers, but they have used that disappointment as fuel to bolster their charge this season. And it's such a contrast to this time last year because it's really been a long procession for Shamrock Rovers over the last couple of weeks. They have had that sizable gap for such a long time, and they may get over the line now this Friday if the other result goes their way.
It is Bohs though, and Bohs have beaten them a couple of times already this year, and Bohs, not that anybody in Bohemians needs motivation to beat Shamrock Rovers in any season, in any competition, but to not stop them from winning the league, but to delay the procession will be the aim for Bohemians. I suppose the trepidation from travelling fans will be that Bohs are so open. I mean, it's a long time since they kept a clean sheet, conceded 4 at home to Derry, beat Waterford last week without playing particularly well, that there is that fear that Bohs are just too open and that Rovers, if they just get that possession into someone like Rory Gaffney, they'll just punish Bohemians. Yeah,
and obviously coming into the game, Bohs are looking for the clean sweep over Shamrock Rovers, looking for a 4th win this season, which would be an absolutely remarkable achievement. But that incentive of stopping them potentially winning the title, that's one thing. But the other thing is they also have their own European ambitions of their own. Next year it'll be 5 seasons without European football. If they don't get over the line this season. So there is the added incentive of stopping Shamrock Rovers, but also their own European ambitions. But I think derbies like this, it's the cliche form and all the rest of it really goes out the window. It's what many people regard as the biggest game in Irish football. We started the season with a massive Dublin derby at Lansdowne Road, which Bohs came out on top of in that one. But it really comes down to big moments like who's going to step up. You're looking at the likes of Ross Tierney if he's back fit, Dawson Devoy, James Clark for Bohemians. I suppose for Shamrock Rovers, looking at the likes of Graham Burke and Rory Gaffney, who've been absolutely brilliant this season and crucial to Shamrock Rovers creating that gap at the top. So it's a really fascinating game I know you're heading to Stade Stadium, it's a really fascinating game to look forward to. Shamrock Rovers on the cusp of the title. I suppose from their point of view, there'll be no better way to capture a 5th league title in 6 seasons in front of a sold-out crowd in a Dublin derby against their rivals. So I suppose all the Bohemian fans be hoping it's one to remember and they're not getting the Lewis back into town on a disappointing note.
But I think it's inevitable, even Bohemians camp everyone expects Shamrock Rovers to win the league. It's a matter of when, not if. But at the bottom, it's a similar situation where Cork City are still technically fighting for their lives. They can stay up. They've got Galway United, but it just seems the form that Cork City are in, just seems inevitable that they will be automatically relegated, even if they get something off Galway.
Yeah, like we've been talking about Shamrock Rovers' lead at the top for the last couple of weeks. Like everyone kind of knows they'll be champions eventually, that gap being so big, and kind of the same goes for Cork City at the bottom end of the table. That gap has been there between 6, 7 up to 9 and 10 points at different stages of the season for the last while. It's been a really disappointing season for them. Obviously really struggled, wins really hard to come by. I think looking back the beginning of the season to the middle of the season, the losses to injury, Rory Keaton and Seán Maguire hit them hugely, and then Colin O'Sullivan doing his ACL in July. It was really a nightmare season from an injury point of view, and obviously I know they've been missing the likes of Greg Bolger for spells as well, so injuries have hit them really hard, but just in really key games they haven't turned up. Like the really pivotal game a couple of weeks ago was leading Sligo Rovers 2-0. Sligo Rovers get it back, win 3-2, and that pivotal game in the relegation battle. And obviously we must say they can finish the season on a high. They have a cup semi-final against St. Pat's to look forward to, but if they don't do something absolutely incredible of the next couple of weeks. Starting on Friday, it'll be first division football for them next year.
And we should mention, of course, Galway United, who, of course, do have something to play for. They're trying to stay up. But the other focus for the weekend is the battle for Europe. There's a key game, Drogheda against Derry City. They've very even games this year, a win and a draw and a defeat for each of them in the league games. Of course, that big cup tie in Derry where Drogheda won. There is a lot riding on this. Drogheda in particular, not that they need motivation, but having been denied Europe last year, a chance to qualify through the league this year because the FAI Cup is closed off. And Derry City really would see themselves as a club that should be in Europe every year.
Yeah, it really feels like a really crucial game in the race for Europe. Drogheda coming into it off the high of that big win over Shelbourne, and I know Kevin Doherty was very vocal after about dismissing criticism of his team's style of play, saying no one was giving out about our style of play when we were bottom of the league, but now they're chasing Europe, and the way they play. The results speak for themselves, have been really effective. They've been up the top end of the table for a lot of the season. I know they've kind of dropped down to 4th and 5th as past the midway point, but it really feels like a really crucial game. Obviously, Derry out of the cup now, missing out on European football at this stage of the season would be an absolute disaster for them. So it's really up for their big players to really step up and drive it home.
We also have Shelbourne at home to Waterford, and Shelbourne in a situation where they're in the group stages of the conference this year, but need a run now to qualify for Europe again next year. And again, the investment that's gone into Shelbourne, they would expect Europe every year. Not everyone can get that. They have a game in hand. It probably suits them the fixture because Waterford do seem to be in trouble. They've had 1 point from the last 6 games. They're just leaking goals. They've had a couple of red cards. The formation has changed an awful lot. Shelbourne have been able to dig deep and get results the last couple of weeks, and you'd probably expect Shelbourne to beat Waterford at home.
Yeah, you should. Shells really need a win here. Obviously, they have the game in hand, but just to cut that gap on the teams above them, it's kind of tricky. It's funny at the moment. All the focus is on the European campaigns beginning next week in the Conference League at home to Hacken, but all the eyes will be on that next week. But this is all about securing European football for 2026. Waterford have had a couple of tricky few weeks, but I was really impressed with them at Bows last week, and we're really unlucky not to leave Daleyman with at least a point, and played really well. Podge Almond scoring again, was really impressed by them. So on paper, it is a game they should win, but we all know in this league there's no easy games, and Shelbourne really have to turn up, get an early goal, and it's a really, you feel like you're repeating yourself, but they all are. The games are running out now, and they really need a result to secure that European spot.
Saturday then the focus goes to the west, to Sligo Rovers at home to St Pat's. I saw St Pat's against Cork on Monday. It wasn't a contest. The game was over after 20 minutes when Mason Melia scored. It was probably the easiest game St Pat's have had this year. They're going to Sligo, who've shown a lot of resilience in the last couple of weeks. The blip, I suppose, for Sligo would have been having done the hard work in the FAI Cup against Dundalk and Bohemians, to then lose in the manner they did to Kerry. But Sligo, I suppose that resilience I talked about last week, getting a late goal to beat Galway last week. Just St Pat's are going to get a much different kind of test than they got at home to Cork.
That was a massive win for Sligo last week against Galway. I think lifting them off 9th for the first time in a long time, I think that'll breed confidence in their fight for survival, really. But St Pat's have kind of hit a bit of form the last while. Obviously, Mason Melia in incredible form, marking his 18th birthday with 2 goals the other day. Pats have, I think, won 3 from 3 in this fixture. But the last time they went to the showgrounds, they only won 1-0 early. Aidan Keena penalty scoring against his own club. So Sligo have bounced back really well from that Kerry defeat. But it's a massive game for St Pat's in there. Obviously, they've the cup semi-final to come, and hopefully from their point of view, a cup final. But via the league, this is a really pivotal game for them.
Pivotal game and pivotal weekend. So by the end of the week, we could have champions, Shamrock Rovers back again. The picture for Europe will be built a lot clearer. But of course, you'll have all the reports, analysis, and updates on the Irish Independent.